Gun Labyrinth tipped the scales out of the Arkham Games Regional. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now, this is actually one of the heaviest meta-filled events that I've had the chance to actually take a look at so far, because you have triple Rescue Ace in your top cut. Now, a lot of these other regionals have been telling me different stories here, where we've been seeing maybe one Rescue Ace on the top of the pillar of meta, but no, for this event, we had the chance to see a different story where, you know, Rescue Ace was just the dominant monster. Now, what's actually hilarious about this is Tier is actually the one that ended up winning this regional, actually sporting off King of the Swamp of all things. And we had a secondary tier list also playing the Horus package. It's actually not the first time that we've seen the Horus package on the regional side of things. Thank you, Core TCG Regional, also getting the chance to showcase that. So, yeah, the Horus stuff and Pure tier actually kind of doing things. So where does that put the rest of the breakdown here? Well, we also had Labyrinth, which I said at the beginning. I mean, Arius tends to be a pretty good card for, you know, what you're trying to do with the meta. I mean, we don't have transaction rollback yet, which kind of puts the deck in a very interesting position for how it has to adopt to the loss of not having the good trap cards. We also had Flaunderies. Oh, baby. I cannot tell you. You know, it's just not a regional unless you have Flunder, you know, skunking around out here at the top tables. You know, you can be annoyed with M-Pen sticking around in the meta all you want, but it is one more anti-meta contender that is doing very well. And I mean, if you picked that deck up a long time ago, you did good. And we have a Rika package as well topping this event. So Plants actually getting the chance to shine out here. But you know, not as much Rogue in this top cut, which I think is fine, but this does kind of show that there are a lot of very big moving pieces in the meta. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Running our event here is none other than Tier Elements. Like I said, I'm not all that surprised, but the first thing that draws my attention here is we actually are back on King of the Swamp. So many people were screeching at the top of their lungs that, you know, this card's no longer optimal, cut it, it's garbage, but somebody did play it. Somebody did find success, and that's a good thing. That proves that, you know, people that seem to think that they're set in their ways out here, we are exploring different options, and I think that that's a good thing. Also, I mean, let's be honest, Polymerization is a very, very good card for this deck. I'll see that we are playing double Super Poly, and we are playing one more Super Poly down in the main. We are playing Grief. Been a pretty interesting little tech choice to see Grief actually showing up. And, of course, we are playing double Malicious as well. So many people also make the argument that this isn't needed, but okay. I also like the fact this deck is playing one Fenrir just to search for this incredibly good card. Well, that's the power of winning an event. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, our second place list here. Oh, hi. I see that we are on double Diabellstar, which actually feels pretty normal at this point in time. I mean, there's been an argument for 1, there's an argument for 3. It just, however you want to, you know, push for the consistency. I also see we are on 1 Impulse. We've seen multiple builds also citing the Impulses as well. And then, of course, we are playing Valor's Drolls and the Ashes with the Imperms for our outstanding hand traps. And I also see that we are sick of the meta. We are actually packing in Spellbounds here to make sure that if your opponent starts to do anything that would be wacky, zany, or unfun, this card's going to go ahead and kind of help you clean things up. And I mean, the books are going to also help you, but let's be honest here, a lot of these Rescue Ace builds feel very flushed out. And I mean, I'm glad to see that this one's not doing the whole little climb through every loop to do the Warrior Toolbox, you know, synchro play. You don't need it to be able to do good. All right, we have a difference of an opinion out here. This build actually opts to play the Jet Synchron so that you can do some synchro plays, which means, hey, you get access to the Borreload, Savage Dragon, or the Baron de Fleur. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where you see this duelist is actually citing the Impulses. Let's be honest here, like, Impulse is a very good card. It does kind of help out, but your deck has gotten a lot more tight in terms of deck build space, and you don't exactly have the same resources to be able to dedicate kind of as freely. So you kind of do have to make some terrible choices maybe to, start cutting these back and do fine. And of course I see we have the silent graveyards in here as well. Yeah, this card's actually pretty bonkers, making it so that your opponent can't actually do anything from their graveyard. I love anti-tier cards. Somehow tier still won the event. All right, wow. We are just all the way in for all of our Rescue Ace Duelist. Oh boy, wow, they really just checked all of the marks here. They said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're all going to top this event. I do see that we are playing some enemy controllers here, which is actually a pretty cool little tech choice, especially in the mirror match where you can kind of use this, kind of start offsetting anything that the opponent might start looking at, or, before they can actually use their key monster effect, you could actually steal it and bring it on over to your field, and then they can't actually do anything. I don't know. This actually seems like a pretty good tech choice, especially after OTS came out. If somebody wants to sport off those nice alties. I see that we're also citing Triple Zombie World down here as well. This is definitely going to make sure that Flaunderies and the Rika Sun Avalon Duelist aren't going to have a lot of fun. Tee-hee-hee. Yeah, looks pretty standard. I have nothing else to really add into this. Our next list here is a Tier Elements deck sporting off the Sarcophagus package. Now, the first thing I want to say here is they didn't want to share their side deck. Perfectly fine. All right. Judging by a lot of how the other tier builds have been citing, you probably have some buy steals and some other cards to kind of help you out some things. Maybe something for purely like Exceed Encore. Plenty of things to kind of consider out here. Now, because we are playing this Horus package here, so we are on 1, 3, 2. You can make the argument for 1 Sarcophagus. Depends. You can also play 3 if you really want. They did dedicate one of the slots to something like Zephyros the Elite, which I actually kind of like this. Technically you can discard this, bounce back the Sarcophagus, and, after you drop this, now you have, an extra monster on the field. Congratulations. You got the chance to do what the free advantage package wants to do. And that's as simple as that. 400 life points to make a free time thief redoer and just kind of move along with your day. Okay, I see what we were doing out here for complexity's sake. We have our Rika Sun Avalon Duelist. I see that we are sporting off 47 cards. Fun little interesting note here. 15 minutes before deck list were due, Duelist actually lost one of their thrust. Trust me, I've been there. It was supposed to be 48 cards, but they were only able to play 2 thrust because of that. Happens to the best of us. It's a life. I also see that I think the genuine trend down here has been decks, if they can play Shifter, they're going to play them. And honestly, Shifter in this deck is pretty good. Yeah, it can hurt some of the plant stuff, but I mean, who cares? Like, making it so that your opponent can't play the game and then you can is the biggest thing that you're concerned with. I also see that we're side decking the Change of Heart. That's a cute little tech choice. Okay. Outside of that, I'm glad to see that Rika is actually kind of living up to what the deck wants to do. And then we have Flaunderies. I swear, all of these Flaunder decks have been the same thing. Because Thrust exists, I've been seeing evenly matched and the 1 Harpy's Featherstorm in all of these builds. Like, most duelists aren't even going to play the 3rd Harpy's Featherstorm, or the 2nd and 3rd in the main deck. They're just going to punt them down to the side deck because it's about as good. I also see that we are playing the 1 Mega Ryza. Been a lot of different opinions on this card. Keep in mind that this is a regional level event, so, if you want to cut the Mega Ryza, you could very easily put in the 3rd end pen. Alright, but, the old 2-1-1 ratios for this does work out. It's not like it's an incredibly incorrect method of going about this. It just depends on how you want to approach the deck building side of things. And either way, you have multiple options for the things that you can do with Flaunderies to be successful with. Honestly, the only bad decision is the one that leads you to losing. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.